You know the cycle. You wake up determined to tackle a massive project, or finally hit the gym. But by 8 p.m., your ambition has collapsed, and you are lying in the dark, scrolling through a never-ending feed. If you have ever felt ashamed of this, let it go. Your inability to stick to a plan is not a moral failing or a sign of weak character. Over millions of years of evolution, the human brain adapted for one primary directive: immediate survival. It operates as an ultra-efficient computer programmed to conserve energy and seek out quick, easy rewards. The problem is that modern society demands the exact opposite. We are expected to prioritize long-term goals and abstract targets that require high effort. But studying or working out doesn't offer an immediate payoff, so your brain urges you to open TikTok instead, because the dopamine hit is instant and guaranteed. When you try to force yourself to act through sheer willpower, you are essentially trying to shout down millions of years of evolutionary programming with a handful of motivational quotes. It doesn't work for long. Look at this graph. Neuroscience refers to this dynamic as cognitive ease. That decaying line shows your willpower, a finite resource that drains throughout the day. Below it, the steady baseline is your biological autopilot, which always defaults to the path of least resistance. The moment your willpower crashes below that baseline, your primitive brain takes complete control of your decision-making. You stop choosing what is best for the long term and start choosing whatever requires the least energy right now. Feeling undisciplined isn't an issue of insufficient force. You are simply trying to run modern software on primitive hardware, and the hardware always wins. Since you simply cannot outstubborn your biology, the first step is to stop focusing on your internal psychology and start looking outward at the physical spaces where you make your decisions. Author James Clear argues that the most consistent people aren't actually stronger or more motivated than anyone else. They have simply learned to rely on design, not force. He points to a concept known as choice architecture. This is the reality that our behavior is passively shaped by whatever is closest, most visible, and easiest to access in our immediate environment. Every action you consider is an equation of physical friction. This diagram illustrates how your brain calculates energy costs. If going for a run requires climbing a steep incline of effort, like searching for cold weather gear in the dark, but staying in bed is a smooth, shallow decline, your brain will always choose the bed. The solution is to invert the terrain. You have to engineer your space so that the obstacles block your bad habits, while a smooth, downward slope guides you directly into the productive ones. In one study, simply moving water bottles to the front of a cafeteria and moving soda to the back drastically increased water consumption. No one ran a motivational campaign or banned sugary drinks. They just made the healthy choice the easiest physical option available. You can apply this by hiding your phone in another room while you work, or laying out your gym clothes right next to your bed. You are essentially setting a physical trap for your own laziness. When viewed this way, procrastination is no longer a mystery. It is the direct, unavoidable result of a poorly designed environment. To actively fix a broken environment, you can apply Clear's framework, known as the 4 laws of behavior change. The first 2 laws are make it obvious and make it attractive. If you leave a book on your pillow instead of a drawer and pair it with a coffee you already enjoy, you reduce the physical and mental friction before you even attempt to read. The final 2 laws are make it easy and make it satisfying. You commit to reading just 1 page and track your progress to give your brain a clear, immediate reward, proving the effort was worth it. Even with an optimized environment, there is still one major hurdle. The point of highest friction in any task is always the initiation phase. Overcoming that static inertia requires a massive burst of mental energy. This flowchart shows how your brain automates behavior to bypass that friction. It's called the habit loop, and it cycles constantly through 3 nodes: a cue, a routine, and a reward. Think of how you automatically check your phone the second you sit on the couch. Instead of trying to build a completely new routine from scratch, you can use a tactic called habit stacking. A new desired action snaps right in at the end of a routine you already perform unconsciously. If you decide to meditate for 2 minutes immediately after brushing your teeth, you hijack the behavioral momentum that is already flowing. You bypass the brain's initial resistance because you were already in motion. For this to work, the rules are strict. The attached habit must be micro-sized, taking less than 2 minutes. It must be highly specific and happen immediately after the cue without any pause for hesitation. By linking these small actions together, discipline stops feeling like an exhausting series of isolated choices. Instead, it becomes a seamless, sequential chain reaction. There is a popular idea in productivity culture that you need to fall in love with the process or enjoy the grind to truly succeed. It sounds inspiring, but it's entirely false. Highly productive people don't wake up every day brimming with excitement for their tasks. They execute because they have built structures where action requires zero desire. The momentum carries them forward, even on their worst days. James Clear distills this perfectly. You do not rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. When your daily actions become the default output of a well-engineered system, you eliminate the need to rely on motivation, a resource that is volatile, exhausting, and guaranteed to run out. This structural shift impacts something far more permanent than a single day's productivity: your identity. Every time your environment prompts you to study instead of scroll or train instead of sleep, you are casting a vote for a new identity. You stop trying to act like a disciplined person and slowly convince yourself that you simply are one. True discipline is never about fighting a daily war against your own biology. It is the quiet reflection of an environment built by an engineer and an identity earned through automation.